On Tuesday, President Trump delivered his first State of the Union address. At times, he seemed to extend an olive branch to Democrats. As we see here, however, some people called the speech divisive. Here to break down what we learned is analyst Dan Prager. Dan, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So Republicans are hailing this speech, saying he sounded as kind of hopeful. So we expected that, but what are voters saying?
Well, right now, voters have a pretty overwhelmingly positive reaction to the speech. It is important to note that most people who are watching a State of the Union speech, well, not most, but more people are supportive of the president's party. So you will have a little bit of bias toward the president. Right now, he is getting high marks for kind of extending those olive branches, but at the same time, a lot of people have called the speech not hopeful or optimistic, but pessimistic, because he did, after about maybe the first 45 minutes, transition into some more hyper-conservative ideas on immigration, on terrorism, and things like that.
Dan, like you said, immigration, terrorism, crime, all of those things were focal points of the speech. So obviously, I think it was a pretty good night if you're a defense hawk listening to President Trump. Who are some of the other winners and losers during this speech?
Like you said, defense hawks, people who are strong on immigration, they're big winners. And I think moderate Republicans who are up for Congress in 2018 are probably winning too. Because if you remember that first 45 minutes of the speech where Trump outlined how great the economy was doing, people were listening. And people mostly tune in for that part, and they might shut off the more controversial bits at the end. I think that's really going to help people who are kind of on the fence about voting. They're saying the economy is doing well. We don't care about anything else. We care about what's going into our pockets, and I think that's going to help people in Congress.
In terms of setting the agenda moving forward, it seemed as though the Republicans were much trying to outline a strategy for the future, and the Democrats countered that and caught a lot of flack. So what did you take away from Joe Kennedy's response to this?
I thought that Joe Kennedy's response was absolutely fantastic and exactly what the Democrats needed. I saw a tweet the other day and it said, man, the Kennedys have good genes. And you got to agree with that because Kennedy was on message. He was strong. He was a great speaker. And you could just kind of hear the emotion in his voice. I think what we really learned from this is that Joe Kennedy will be a viable presidential candidate probably by 2024. The speech was fantastic, and it's going to vault him up to a position where he's in power with the Democrats.
Those are some pretty strong claims, and certainly something that we'll be paying attention to as the fallout from the speech continues. Dan, thanks so much for being here. After the break, we'll be looking